Thank you. Thank you very much, Bishop Joe. Good night. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. All of the very, very, very best to you for this season. And I want to say to the Barbados Labour Party family and supporters and those who have come to understand, have determined that what is going on must stop. And I don't take your determination of that for granted. I take it with an awesome responsibility. But I want to say to all of you that we understand that you appreciate the seriousness of the moment. And that it is not usual that we have an end-of-year report between Christmas and New Year. But there is nothing usual about what is happening in Barbados today. And I therefore want to thank those of you. I must tell you, I have been coming to this school for almost 28 years and 5 months and 1 week to be precise. I could actually say 28 years, 5 months, 1 week, and 5 days to be absolutely precise. Was when I stood on this platform and was nominated for the very first time. So first of all, although this is Ian's constituency, we in Northeast have commandeered it as our own from long time. So let me welcome you first to our home. But in that period of time, I have never ever seen the crowd that I have seen here tonight. I have never seen it. And those of you, Ronald, who have been coming here, Ralph, all of us, I've never seen a number of people inside, outside, on both sides. I've never seen a number of cars so high up. In the words of Red Plastic Bag, something is happening. But we have also come here tonight because when we leave 2017 in a few days, we leave 2017. And when we enter 2018, the mission will move into its final stages. And as much as I will reflect, as the others have done tonight, on 2017, my role here tonight, for the first time in this room, has to be to slow the pace tonight. I am accustomed coming in here and increasing the pace and bowling Yorkers and down the line. But from the time Ronald Toppin started tonight, the pace was hot. Who missed Ronald? Don't know what to miss. There is no doubt in anybody's mind that Richard Seeley has presided over the greatest decline in tourism and the greatest sell-off of tourism assets in this country ever since the Barbados Development Board was established by Grantley Adams in 1958. No other Minister of Tourism has presided over the sale as well as the decline in revenue of people coming to this country to help us earn our way. No other Minister of Tourism has presided over a greater decline than Richard Seeley. He is an utter and complete failure. The perfect parody of a politician who knows only to... Kerry, you know the boy from Long. I know him from Long too. Not even Richard Seeley takes Richard Seeley serious. But if it was not so funny, so tragic, it would be funny. This mic start bugging me. I don't like this side down. Nice. that were not enough, Arthur Holder pick up from the other end. And Arthur Holder, Massey Creek, Michael Ashley, Steve Blackett, and Michael Carrington. I pick it up. I pick it up. And why? Not because he just want to come in here and ball fast, but because what is going on in the name of the Ministry of Welfare by Steve Blackett is a shame, a disgrace, a national disgrace. Because at no time since independence have more Barbadians been suffering. At no time since independence has government been more wanting and missing in responding to the needs of ordinary people. They only send them home. There's a phenomenon in this country that I speak to now almost weekly that causes me to want to cry. And it's not just urban Barbados, it's across the entire country. And what is that phenomenon? That there are young people who have left school, and you're going to hear me talk about it week after week after week after week. You're going to hear me talk about it before elections, and if God willing we win, you're going to hear me talk about it after elections. That there are young people in this country who have left school, who have not in the 6 and the 7 and the 8 years since they have left school ever held down a permanent job in this country. They do not know what it is to have a discipline, to go to sleep early at night, to wake up early in the morning, to bathe and catch a bus or to get a ride to work and have to work come rain, sun or shine, whatever. And if they reach 30 years old, without ever developing that discipline, God help us in this country. This is not the Barbadian way. So that when we say to you that it is time that we take stock and bring this country back from the brink, you know what we mean. And when you hear, therefore, Arthur come tonight to hold Steve Blackett to account, not just as Minister of Welfare and the Welfare to Work programs that they have tried to implement that have been a paltry failure because it doesn't reach enough people. You can't reach a handful of people and tell me you're successful in a country where the majority are not working. And then, as a representative, well, the people don't even see him. A man that is accustomed to shades, walking in shadows. We're not getting in that tonight. Michael Ashley, same thing. Presiding over the worst example of public transport in this country. There are people who are at risk of losing their jobs. In 2017, people who have not been able to get to work on time. Because of what? This government is so consumed. This government is so consumed with its own matters and its own version of consolidation of wealth that the Transport Board now presides over less than 80 functioning buses when most days come. And if there were at least finding the money to pay UCAL, ordinary Bajans like all of us, the $20 million or so that it owes UCAL, you could at least understand. But they haven't even had the decency to do that, but instead bringing a man from Trinidad who receiving $20,000 a month in terms and conditions. By the time you take the salary and the housing and everything, and yet, instead of the number of buses increasing on the road, they're decreasing. Do you understand what is going on in this country? But at the same time, going down and ask, how much is a ZR license again? How much is a minibus license again? How much is a BT coach again? I answer a question. But I guarantee you, you go anywhere about Barbados and ask the question and somebody can give you the answer. And then Ian Goodinegel has shown you why. That a short voice has no limit with a short man has no limit with a powerful voice. Before I could turn into Lawrence T. Gay School, I hear Ian Goodinegel voice all the way up in Spooners Hill. Not only talking sense, but talking from an intimate knowledge of his constituency. Talking about what his constituents have said to him. Talking about the physical developments. When we went the day and I walked with him, this man knew every single house, every single body in every single house, old and young. This man could carry me and tell me where the people in Pillersdorf and what was happening and what they were upset about. When I say to you, and I said it, how many got a good memory? At foundation school, I spoke to you in 2015 about the kind of representative that this Barbados Labour Party must be bringing to public life in this country. People who understood the 3 H's, that we had to be hardworking, that we have to be humble, and that our job is to help people. And if you can't do the 3 of those things, you're in the wrong profession. You're doing the wrong thing. And in a sense, I am glad that we have come here to St. Michael Northeast this evening to speak, because the people of this constituency that I have had the honor to represent will tell you that there is no task that I believe to be below me. There is nothing that I will not do to help out my people once it is legal and moral. And I believe that their satisfaction with me has nothing to do with other than the fact that you have to be there willing to help people and to be hard working with people and to be humble. This was not a safe Barbados Labour Party seat. But this is a seat that shows that people of all backgrounds respond when you work with them. And I have every confidence that the team that I will lead into this election will have a similar experience across St. Michael, across Christchurch, across St. Joseph, across St. John, even St. Lucy, St. Philip, call right through St. George. Well, we don't know that St. Thomas is the rock. St. James. Because that is what Bajans want. And this government has perfected the art of taking them for granted. And when Ian, don't call James Paul the MP for farmers, because he's taken them for granted too. Because this government has presided more over the implosion of income for farmers more than any other government since the settlement of Barbados. Check it out. How much is sugar production? Sugar production can't even get to 10,000 tons. Are we still self-sufficient in pork production? Where and how has James Paul been successful in stopping the importation of chicken wings, eggs? Think about it. All James Paul knows what to do is to talk. Talk. But the time for talk in St. Michael West Central is now over. And the people of St. Michael West Central have said that they might have come short last time, but this time they're running straight up the wicket fast. And that they too understand their responsibility, not just to St. Michael West Central, but to the people of Barbados, to help the Barbados Labour Party form a government early on the night of an election. And I don't need to thank Dale and Kerry for 2 excellent jobs beyond what I will do, simply to say thank you for your usual brilliance and comprehensive nature in which you have handled this issue. You know, preparing a party for an election is not a simple job. And when you're in opposition, there are many jobs that we have to do. We don't have the power of incumbency as a government has. So I have to rely on these gentlemen and ladies who are in Parliament with me to carry the weight. And I can do so with the comfort and the knowledge that the Barbados Labour Party is well represented. And that if I have other business to do to get us ready, that Dale Marshall is going to carry the fight to the Democratic Labour Party in the most vigorous and comprehensive of manners. Only said the. When the teacher has spoken, you need not say any more thereafter. But Dale has raised with you tonight an issue that comes to potentially change how we relate to one another in this country, and especially in St. Michael and Christ Church. And it does so in spite of evidence of successful manners and successful operations that have been able to calm down communities that have had trouble in the past. Dale gave you the example of the former Commissioner of Police putting a mobile unit into the Orleans and walking around to bring about confidence so that people could move about, even though there had been a slew of shootings down in there. But this commissioner did it too in Silver Hill. You recall? When they had problems in Silver Hill recently. But yet a government will want to overreach and to carry us into an area without consultation, without discussion, have not spoken to the Bar Association, have not spoken to the people of Barbados, have not told us how they will strengthen the powers to hold people who have these new statutory powers accountable, police complaints authority, etc. Because you cannot now come and tell people that you are going to give people the powers to go into somebody's house from 5 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night without a search warrant once you declare this area as a cordoned off area. And Dale has told you the very low threshold that can lead to an area being cordoned off. Now we agree that there may be a need for a strong line to be held. But a strong line does not mean the repudiation of the fundamental rights and freedoms that the citizens of this country have vested in them through the Constitution of Barbados. And even if you were to go to pass legislation that derogates aspects of those, the people of this country have a right to be consulted, to be listened to, and for serious discussion to take place, and not for you to push something through Parliament for the record to show that Adria Braffett at last could get a piece of legislation passed in Parliament, or Michael Lashley, or David Estwick for the record. All to go in a facts campaign that I told you months ago really only stands for Fundel and Chris talking stupidness. I cannot say the other word. But you are now to be the guinea pigs. And as much as we believe that not everybody acts in an inappropriate way, regrettably sometimes it happens. And finally, Kerry spoke about the consolidation of wealth in this country. And there will be more than enough time. For the first time, as I told you, I have had to come tonight to slow down the pace. Why? Because there is much still to be done between tonight and election night. And nobody is going to get me or anybody around me giddy with the prospect of victory without understanding the necessity of hard work, without understanding the necessity of building the team to carry the weight, without understanding that many hands make light work. And there will be time enough, as tempted as I am, to talk to you about misplaced priorities. As tempted as I am to ask you to ask Frandel how he could justify his cabinet agreeing to put in an airport and an air traffic control tower as a major priority over fixing the South Coast Sewage Project or building a new South Coast Sewage Project. But tonight is not the night for me to deal with that. Because I want, when the 1st of January comes, those of you who took the time out to come here today to understand that your work starts as missionaries in this fight. You haven't come here for your looks alone tonight. You ain't come here for the pace alone tonight. You have come here to report for duty. Because as I told you at the Defense Force last Monday night, no 30 people can carry this battle alone. Ian Goodenough needs at least an army of willing canvassers and supporters saying enough is enough, James. Paul, look at the no entry sign. Do not bother to come. Arthur Holden needs an equal group telling Steve Blackett, you are better off putting out applications now for a job because you will not be required from Flint Hall to Bank Hall, from Waterford to Water Hall, because you have failed after a decade of riding on the backs of poor people in this constituency. We have come here tonight to let you know that the campaign has started. It may be a short campaign. It may be a long campaign. But it has started. And it has started because we are listening to the people. And as far as the people are concerned, 2018 is their date with destiny. And if Frandel listens to the people, he will hear the same thing that we are hearing too. The truth is that I want to tell Frandel, I want him to talk a little more. Because every time he talks, he helps the Barbados Labour Party more than even we can help ourselves. The notion that Frandel is going to the end has sent people quaking, because Bajans cannot believe that there is that much more suffering still ahead of them. But I say to you tonight, hold strain. Because whether it is a short campaign or whether it is a long campaign, this campaign has started and this Barbados Labour Party is ready. Dale told you earlier, we are red and what? Red and ready. We are red and what? Ready. We are red and what? Ready. It is true that Dale gave permission tonight for one man to turn up in battle fatigue. And he signed the proclamation before coming in here that one man in battle fatigue, Kerry Simmons, could be allowed to turn up here tonight to do the military duty and the military job of bombshelling that he did just now. But the fundamental point is this. The campaign has started even if the election has not been called. The election is the right of the Prime Minister to choose a date. That's his right. And it does not matter to me now whether he calls it early, January, February, March, April, or May. Because we know it has to be called. But what bothers me, and I want you to bear with me, is that when you listen to this man, as far as he is concerned with what time they have left, rather than being concerned with what time the country has left. You understand what I just said? And why is this important? Because if the country is facing declining reserves, and if the country is facing mounting debt, and if the government cannot get enough money from its citizens or companies for revenue to be able to ensure that buses can function properly and the hospital can function properly, that schools that are now falling down and lacking in supplies and maintenance. There are some pictures of some bathroom facilities in this country for schools that will make your stomach churn. And above all else, if this government cannot fix the South Coast sewage problem that is affecting residents first, who are living there 24/7, 365, then businesses where people earn their living and employ workers who are working there 5 and 6 and 7 days a week, and then tourists who help us pay our bills as a country. And if this cannot be a priority for Frundell and his government, then we understand how far down we have fallen. I don't know whether Ronald reminded you in September or October of 2015, once again at Foundation School, not the annual conference. There was another meeting, a zone meeting. And I still have the memorandum. I thought that I had at the very least to do a favor to the woman who had run against me down here. She wrote a memorandum to the minister and to the chairman of the Barbados Water Authority dated September 2015. And she told them, that system had not worked for over a year. That's 2014. I made it my business to give Frundell Stewart my phone number, you remember that? And tell him he needed to call me. And that there were matters pertaining to the South Coast sewage system that were of critical importance to this country's economic well-being and security. Frundell Stewart's response, VOB even carried the phone number on the radio because enough people called me that they had the number before. But that didn't bother me because my number is public. Frundell Stewart's response was to say he don't call women like me. Now, 2 years and 3 months later, 27 months later, the very thing that we warned Frundell Stewart and this government about has not only come to pass, but has come to recur and recur and recur and recur. Kerry spoke with flamboyance at Top Rock last year with Ralph and Dugard and Ryan and Adrian Forde. Dale, you spoke too, I believe. Yeah. I spoke. That was after the sight of Richard Seeley and John Boyce with the high... But you know, a dem likes the letter D. I can't say J, so I can use the doo-doo word. So much so that you would have believed that this problem would be resolved. And I want to put Jeffrey Bostic and Joe Atherley and all of the rest of us in St. Michael, Kurt Humphrey, all of the rest of us, Marsha Cattle, all of us on standby. Because the notion that you can take the load from the South Coast Sewage Project and put it in Bridgetown is the biggest amount of other sewage that cannot be handled by the Bridgetown Sewage Facility. We have reached a point, my friends, in this country where this government is now only in office for themselves. This is a case of misplaced priorities. This is a case of them bringing to Parliament only that which is in their interest. This is a case of them selling assets only that is in their interest. Chris Sinclair told the Parliament of Barbados that after the sale of the Hilton, that we would have a net $100 million if a successful bid is accepted. Government is expecting to receive no less than 100 million Barbados dollars as the net proceeds from the sale, taking into account the liquidation of existing debt liabilities attached to the property. That is Barbados today. If Barbados today is wrong, Chris says so. If Chris is wrong, Barbados today says so. How do you get from 100 million on the sale of Hilton to now $32 million after all the debt is paid, and we still don't know what is the position with the severance? And we have a prime minister who is so contemptuous of the rest of us that he does not believe he has to address the sewage plant problem. He does not believe he has to address the Hilton, or indeed even the sale of the Barbados National Terminals Company Limited. A matter that David Eswick described as only a madman prime minister willing to sell in relation to the Barbados National Terminals or Oil Company. Do you understand why I tell you now that nothing phases me? Because I know that every day and every week we are going to see some things that you never thought you would see in this country. And my simple message to you, my friends, is hold on. And you know why I'm telling you hold on? Because it will not always be so. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy always cometh in the morning. But joy will only come to those who help themselves. And we have now as a people, I'm not talking to the Barbados Labour Party alone, now I'm talking to the people of Barbados, to understand that this country called Barbados needs us now. Not the Labour Party alone, it needs all good Bajan citizens to stand up and stop this government in its tracks. I've told you that I have constrained myself tonight from asking some questions. And I will come back to the question of the airport and the tower and the runway versus the sewage system. We already knew that they rejected a term sheet from the China Exim Bank. We told you that at Top Rock. And put that money from the Chinese to build Sam Lord's Castle instead of fixing the sewage system. And Maxine McLean tried to deny it. The Exim Bank wanted to build a West Coast sewage project and was prepared to tack on South Coast and Bridgetown, both of which are in dire need. Do you understand that if we can't fix this problem, there won't be no need for no runway? Because the tourists won't be coming? Do we understand that? Do we understand that if the tourists on the South Coast stop coming, that the merchants in Bridgetown can sell less? That the truckers can sell less? That the taxi drivers can get less fares? That the workers can get put on 3-day week or no-day week? Do we understand that all it needs is a few bad stories. And that a person coming to Barbados does not know sometimes whether the hotel they're staying at is on the west coast, the south coast, the east coast, or the north coast. They only hear that they got problems in the water. And that if they go to St. Lucia or St. Kitts, there's no such report of any problems in the water. People have choices. But I haven't done, because tonight is not the night for me to get into the heavy lifting of the questions for the central bank either. Tonight is not the night for me to ask them what Eurobonds they've leveraged to pay the debt for this month, and how they've done it, and when do they intend to tell the country that they have complied with sections 26 and section 48 of the Central Bank Act. Tonight is not the night for that. Tonight is the night for us to ready ourselves for the call to duty. And I ask you tonight, which party is the party that is listening to the people? Which party is the party that has gone every time there has been a problem from the people in St. Joseph, St. Peter, and St. Lucie without water, to the people in the South Coast who've been suffering with the sewage, to the people, the vendors in town in the river bus stand when they wanted to move them improperly? Which is the party that has turned up in the interest and name of the people? Which is the party that has spoken out about the illegalities and the immorality of taking the workers at the BIDC and not giving them a salary for 18 months, not giving them the pension, and sending them to court to do that which you as a government, a decent government, could have done for them as you could have done for the NCC workers? I remember the Easter weekend when the NUPW and the BWU met with Frondel at Bay Street. It was Easter or May Day. It was a long holiday weekend. And Frondel, who had the power, Dale would tell you that the cabinet had the power to settle the policy of lasting first out. And instead of doing it, Frondel Stewart tell them go to the courts, go to the employment tribunal. And all like my constituent Sham, 8 years in the National Conservation Commission, get sent home, and people with 1 year and 18 months still working at the NCC, and men and women get sent home with 8 years and 9 years and 10 years. Same in the transport board. And when you start to look at the family relations, you then understood what David Thompson meant by families first and fatted calf. Something is immoral in this country. So I say to you tonight, who is the party that listens? And who is the party that cares? And above all else, we can listen and do nothing. We can care and still do nothing. But who is the party that has always delivered, from the days of Grantley Adams to the days of Tom Adams to the days of Warren Arthur then, and now to us? Who is the party that delivers over and over and over for the people of Barbados? If you know who cares, and if you know who listens, and if you know who delivers, and Vic, it's so good to see you here. If you know who delivers, then the only thing left for you to do, who jump in my mind, is for you to get on board. And if I come and see that you want to talk and you don't want to carry the heavy weight, then I'm going to ask you, you don't love your country? You don't love your country? Because now is the time. That's the line in Peter Ram's song. Now is the time. Now is the time to get on board. And I ask each and every one of you, you got 3 days left to the end of the year. get some rest. Because come January 1st, 2018, we are moving forward in the name of this country, for the people of this country. Barbados deserves better, and with your will and your work, Barbados shall get better in 2018. Good night, and God bless you.